What's up, gamers? DreamcastGuy here, talking today about Nintendo and how they may not always be a console developer. You see, that seems to have shocked a lot of people. Just hearing those words seems to explode some heads, but to me, it seems rather obvious. I am somebody who has very in-depth studied the entire history of Nintendo, all 130 years of it. Their ups, their downs, their rather shady origins as gambling companies, every bit of it. And what's always been interesting to me is that Nintendo is somebody who just focuses on following the cash, but the way they do this is by making great products. I mean, seriously, the only reason the Nintendo Switch is as cool as it is because they want to make sure this is a multi-billion-dollar idea. So why would they move away from this? Because sometimes the cash isn't in what's currently popular. So what am I talking about specifically? Well, over the course of this weekend, one of the main people over at Nintendo did a very extended interview, and in one part of it, the interviewer decided to ask him about innovation, how Nintendo always likes to try and shift into different avenues. They're not happy doing one thing. They want to kind of try and be the best at everything, and they were basically trying to ask him, is that ever a problem? And his answer is quite long and quite interesting, so let me just read it. It's this statement here that just seems to be melting everybody's brains. We aren't really fixated on our consoles. At the moment, we're offering the uniquely developed Nintendo Switch and its software, and that's what we're basing how we deliver the Nintendo experience on. That being said, technology changes. We'll continue to think flexibly about how to deliver that experience as time goes on. It's been over 30 years since we started developing consoles. Nintendo's history goes back even further than that, and through all the struggles that they've faced, the only thing they thought about was what to make next. In the long term, perhaps our focus as a business could shift away from home consoles. Flexibility is just an important part of ingenuity. To me, this is not at all a shocking thing to hear, because keep in mind the fact that Nintendo has been around for over 100 years, constantly trying to push themselves in different ways, try different things, and sometimes do some big experiments that absolutely failed. I mean, look at something like the Virtual Boy. This was VR goggles that basically burned your eyes out of your head, but Nintendo was willing to try it just to see what happens. And it's sort of the reason that I'm not at all shocked when they talk about shifting in new directions. I do think that there's a possibility that this could end up meaning that they're going to start trying to do more movies, do more cell phone games, maybe make more amiibo-style action figures. Because Nintendo, when it comes down to it, is constantly just trying to find new ways to play, new ways to entertain. I honestly believe that part of the reason the Nintendo Switch is right now such a monumentally massive seller is because nothing else on the market exists like it. I mean, yes, deep down this thing is kind of just a super-powered tablet, but it has crazy exclusives and local play and so many different couch co-op options where you can literally just pop off one Joy-Con and start having fun. Nobody is doing that. Nobody's even trying to do that. And I think that's what Nintendo's really getting at. You see, since I've been actually studying the Nintendo history since the very start, I've actually found a lot of their stuff from the ancient past. They're relics that are sort of forgotten, and some of them are kind of crazy, like their gambling cards. For a long time, they would actually make their money by creating decks of cards to be used in illegally gambling dens. Their name is even a reference to that. Nintendo. Leave luck to heaven. Heck, even after Nintendo decided to try and start shifting away from the gambling focus of their company, they couldn't completely remove that part of their past. Like, this is actually an official Nintendo board game. Look at their logo. It just looked like NG, Nintendo game. This is something they decided to try and produce in America. This is an official Nintendo game made in America that actually has a full-blown roulette wheel. I mean, this is a real freaking Nintendo product from the ancient past. And stuff like this is so interesting to me because it shows that Nintendo is very much willing to do what other people haven't. Sony, deep down, they are only a technology company. They love to make Walkmans, they love to make CD players, they love to try and make cell phones and TVs, and also on the side, they produce the very amazing PlayStation 4. I mean, the same sort of goes with Microsoft. They're people that obviously make the Xbox One and things like Gears of War and Halo, but their main focus is actually software, making DOS, their tablets, their own little style of technology. Whereas Nintendo, they're not really one thing. They'll go anywhere that they think that the money is appropriate. I mean, right now, as much as I absolutely love Nintendo and playing on my Switch, if they discovered that they could make $50 billion a year by making crappy cell phone games, they'd do it. And I'm not meaning that in a mean or disrespectful fashion. I'm just saying that Nintendo likes to chase the cash. And if they think they can do it in a way that doesn't abuse their fan base, they will absolutely pull the trigger on it. I mean, right now, I have a feeling that we're about to see the Mario Kart cell phone game, where you're probably going to be playing it by tilting the screen to control, and I think what they're going to probably do is you're going to pay for gas. Basically, you'll get a certain amount of free races every day, and by paying the microtransactions, you can keep playing more and more tracks. And yeah, that sounds a little bit weird and a little bit outside the box, but it's Nintendo. If they think they can monetize it in a way that's fair to them, they're absolutely going to do it 10 out of 10 times. So the people right now who are a little bit worried that they're just going to up and abandon everybody, don't worry about that. In fact, I would think you're definitely going to be seeing more and more generations of consoles popping up. This is not the end of Nintendo. They're not going to stop at the Switch. I do want to say that as things shift more towards a streaming focus, I think that we may see a different Nintendo arise. Right now I'm hearing all sorts of rumblings that both Sony and Microsoft want to try and have streaming services where you just pay a monthly fee and stream the games directly to your consoles, or stream them to a cell phone and you just have a controller that you play them with. Now, this is stuff that's still pretty far away, maybe 5 years, 10 years, or even 15 years away. And I think that when that stuff comes about, that's probably when we're going to see Nintendo start to abandon their own hardware. Because then, at that point, there's no point selling you a device if they don't absolutely need to. You see, deep down, what really matters most is that Nintendo is not actually in love with their own consoles. They're just a medium, a device, a way of delivering you cool gaming experiences. But as soon as that starts to dry up, they'll jump off the island and not even give it a second thought. Nintendo's willingness to do anything when it comes to making a good game, no matter where it lands, is part of the reason that I believe that people enjoy their products so much. I mean, their design philosophy really reminds me of mercenaries. As long as the job gets done and done well, they don't really care what has to be done for it. You know, one of my very favorite games of the last 10 years is easily Zelda Breath of the Wild. It is so big, it's so different, and so freaking gorgeous. And I truly believe that only Nintendo could have made that. Nobody else has the amount of just raw grit to force something this freaking brilliant into existence. And for that reason, that I think that they're just so freaking good at being ruthless in this business. With that being said, though, I think that there's a lot of misinformation going around. People claiming that they want to try and phase things out, and that is absolutely not true. No matter what, Nintendo is always going to probably try and be in the industry in some way, but I think that they'll always try and find their own avenue, their own way to make cool, big games. If not on cell phones, if not on their own consoles, then maybe third party. I think that that's a very slim chance, but if somehow the PlayStation 6 is the biggest and best console on the planet and sells like 500 billion units, I think that we might see a third-party version of Nintendo. That is a giant hypothetical, and I'm sure somebody's going to take that quote out of context, but I'm just saying that there is always a path where Nintendo is willing to innovate in crazy ways that nobody even fathomed. But that's part of why I really like them. I like to see what the heck they're going to dream up next. But what do you guys think about this? Are you actually worried that we could be seeing the end of consoles as they currently exist? And are you worried about Nintendo just up and leaving the business altogether? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, share with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. But do me the biggest favor of all and keep dreaming. I'm sorry I was talking a little bit weird. I bit my tongue real bad last night, so I'm going to talk a little bit different today. But you guys rock. Keep dreaming.
Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.